I'm finding that a lot of people are able to use YouTube and use podcasts and use things like that to kind of grow their comedy career to where it doesn't have to be maintained by the gatekeepers or the industry or whatever, because at the end of the day, the thing that ends up being the most vocal is dollars and cents. It's like, who's actually buying tickets, who's coming to these shows. And so you could be the best or wokest or most, I'm getting applause breaks on Comedy Central, or you could be a guy who's funny and you sell out Madison Square Gardens or whatever theater. So it's like, what choice do you? And I know I'm funny, so I'm like, well, I don't want to have to kind of participate in the mind games. Or I'm almost 35, so I don't feel like doing the
Jesus.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right. Wait. Were you saying Jesus to me being almost 35 or?
Yeah, I didn't realize it was you were knocking on that door so quick. I thought you had a little bit more time, but
so
35 is not that old.
I mean, it's older than Jesus.
You look good.
I mean, Jesus is dead by then.
Sure.
Actually, died, came back, and gone again.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Raisin Bread. This is Basil. With me today is Ben, Derek Smith, and the great comedian Martin Morrow. What's up, Martin?
What's up, gang? How are we doing out in these streets?
I'm doing great.
And we're off to the races. Yeah, good to meet you, man. Good to meet you. It's
You as well, Ben.
I've been watching every bit of you that I can find on YouTube to sort of get myself up to speed with your comedy and who you are. Because it's really odd that this is a thing, that I'm meeting you for the first time. We've literally never spoken before, and we've never seen each other in the flesh, and yet here we are, and we're going to try and chat as colloquially and as casually as we possibly can. So let's see where it takes us.
I will.
Yeah.
And
Love
I was
good colloquial
talking.
chat.
Yeah,
I was talking before we went on air about how it's a bit of a cliche to ask comedians this, but the reason that it is because it's always a good question, which is like, and as something of a stand-up novice, what made you get up for the first time? What drew you into comedy initially?
Or Ben, what we could do is ask him who he is and what sort of comedy he does. And
yeah, I'm assuming that everyone knows him more than I do, including the audience. You're absolutely right. Yeah,
correct. So I like to start with the basics.
So Martin Morrow,
Yeah.
what's your name? Where are you from?
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Martin Morrow. I currently live in Los Angeles, California, but I'm originally from Birmingham, Alabama. I'm a comedian, writer, and actor out here. Just doing everything I can to stay afloat and keep me and my dog alive.
What kind of dog?
Yeah.
She's a pit mix. She's half pit, half ice. I don't know if it's half. I didn't do a DNA test, but I just say pit and boxer because some dude was like, "I think that's boxer in there." But like, I feel like every white guy is a dog expert, so they just let you know, like, yes, that's half Rhodesian back in there.
Yeah.
No, that's just a little bit of a
I've actually heard about a scam like that. Like, you can send in your dog to get your dog DNA, even though I don't think they've actually mapped it out like that. And you're supposed to send in a sample and a picture of your dog, and then they just tell you what your dog is. But I'm pretty sure they're just going off that picture, and then you give them $300 to basically just be a white guy on the street. Be like, yeah, I think that's a boxer.
that's cheating.
Yeah.
If 23andMe did that, we'd be really suspicious. If they just went, send us your spit sample and a headshot.
Yeah.
And we'll get back to you with what your ethnic breakdown is.
Exactly.
He's got Zimbabwean eyes, so it was probably a little bit of Zimbabwe there.
Zimbabwe. What does Zimbabwean eyes look like? I'm curious.
I'm not the expert here, man. I don't know.
No.
Fair enough.
They have pain.
And out of
pain. And victory.
The look of hyperinflation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's a deep cut, Ben. Wow. From downtown.
Sorry.
Jesus.
We used to call them
The pain of
Rhodesian eyes, but we fixed that, so that's good.
How did we fix them?
Well, we killed a bunch of white people and called it Zimbabwe.
Humble brag.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. That happens.
Yeah.
Sometimes. Yeah.
I didn't learn a lot about it. You watch Richard Pryor talks about it. It's great.
Okay.
That's where I learned most of my history and facts is from stand-ups. That's why I'm not the political guy.
I think you're setting up a false premise there.
What?
Saying that means you're not the political guy. Because I think stand-up today of all days is a pretty reliable source of like history and political fact, because at least they'll just take the piss out of everyone, and then you can just deduce through the two waves of piss taking where the truth lies. And that's what I did growing up. That's what I really liked, was it was just like everyone was getting it. That was my favorite thing about stand-up.
Okay. All right.
This is way off topic, but Ben, you have the most perfect fucking YouTube camera. Like, I don't know what, like, if you told me that you hosted a murder mystery podcast, like we solve the unsolvable, I would believe you just based off of whatever camera you're using right now.
Well, I look like that guy who stares down the barrel of the camera and goes like, "You won't believe what he did to his mom." Yeah.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah, that's they do that a lot, don't they? Like, you won't believe what happened next.
Oh yeah.
This is exploitative. Yeah, they just exploit like that's all the murder is now. It's like how do we make murder palatable for weird white women who are always terrified?
Right.
Yeah. And it does seem to be as well that we're in this weird period of like we're all of our content, regardless of budget, right? So like you, for example, you've just mentioned there, like I look like a true crime TikToker. And who have an innumerable number of parts. There's this one guy in particular, I can't remember his name, something Neil, Jack Neal maybe, and he literally, I've heard him say things like "things you won't believe," part 37, and it's like Jesus, there's 36 other parts to this, but the other thing is, you're absolutely right. There's like we're just reporting on and dramatizing stuff that's already happened. Like, and I'm getting kind of bored of it. It's like, for example, on Prime at the moment, there's the Chippendales series, which is like, it's really good, but it's just like, yeah, but the Chippendales already happened. Like, can we write the new? Or do you reckon there are white women out there just hoping and praying that there's a new mass murderer on the loose so that they're going, whoa, 15 years time. Yeah. 15 years time, that Netflix series, that's going to drop.
Fire. Yeah.
Either he's gonna get me, or I'm gonna get it.
Yeah. I mean, serial killer podcasts. They're like the Winter Olympics. Like, it's like a mostly white. No disrespect, but fellas, it's just a mostly white. Event.
Yeah. No.
You know what I mean?
I mean, yeah. It's white guys too. I mean, it's just dudes that look like me.
But then the audience is all white women.
Right.
Correct. Yeah. I've asked black women whether they watch.
You know.
Well, I'm glad to have you here, buddy. Like, it's been a while since we talk on the phone, but it's very different to have you on video. So it's pretty exciting to have you. What have you been working on, man? What's been keeping you? How are you getting on SNL? What are you doing to get on? To get Lauren Michaels to finally,
nothing to get on Lauren Michaels' radar. I kind of want to carve my own path, I think, and that's something I recently had to I don't want to say come to grips with, but I want to be like that not even my own path, but like there are different methods. There's some where you have to kind of kowtow to the industry, and some where you can kind of do things on your own, like an Andrew Schultz or a Sam Morril to some extent, but I'm finding that a lot of people are able to use YouTube and use podcasts and use things like that to kind of grow their comedy career to where it doesn't have to be maintained by the gatekeepers or the industry or whatever, because at the end of the day, the thing that ends up being the most vocal is dollars and cents. It's like who's actually buying tickets, who's coming to these shows. And so you could be the best or wokest or most, I'm getting applause breaks on Comedy Central, or you could be a guy who's funny and you sell out Madison Square Gardens or whatever theater. So it's like, what choice do you? And I know I'm funny, so I'm like, well, I don't want to have to kind of participate in the mind games. I'm almost 35, so I don't feel like doing the
Jesus.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right. Wait. Were you saying Jesus to me being almost 35 or?
Yeah, I didn't realize it was you were knocking on that door so quick. I thought you had a little bit more time, but
so
35 is not that old.
I mean, it's older than
You look
Jesus.
good.
I mean, Jesus is dead by then.
Sure.
Actually, died,
Sure.
came back, and gone again.
Do you ever look at hills and think this would be a weird hill to die on or anything like that? What are your thoughts on hills, Martin?
I mean, I guess it depends on the hill. There's a lot of bad hills to die on. There's one in particular, if I'm walking up it, I'm like, well, I got to figure out a way around that hill. Did you mean metaphorical hills or literal hills?
I mean, whatever, just hill, whatever,
Everyone's got a top 5.
Yeah, I mean, no, I mean, in all seriousness, I'm going back to what you said, like I'm with you, man. You know how I feel about the comedy industry. I think it's archaic. I think it is a dinosaur. It's why I dragged Derek onto this podcast. Some might say forcefully.
Yeah.
And no, I mean in a good way.
I know.
Because
I'm just giving you shit.
Oh yeah. But like, I've just seen too many people on SNL that we used to know. So if you guys don't know this, Martin used to do comedy in Chicago. It's part of the Lincoln Lodge.
Yep.
Really great troupe. Shout out to the Lodge. And used to do a bunch of amazing things at Second City. He's done a lot of really cool stuff. And we really haven't played his accomplishments up enough. The thing is that I for me personally, I don't do comedy anymore. I used to do comedy in Chicago. I just keep seeing people from either Martin's class or my class who are doing things, and I'm just like I'm happy for them. It's great, good work. I'm glad you found your niche, but I'm confused as to why this is the preferred person, so to speak, over, let's say, a Martin or a Derek Smith or, God, who's another name? Any funny comic in Chicago? Meryl Lee should be huge, in my opinion. Yeah, Meryl Lee should.
Well, I mean,
I
don't
know.
Can't speak for Martin. I know why I am not getting those phone calls.
That's true. Yes,
because,
you are. Yep.
I don't read emails and I don't write emails, and I also I don't really answer the phone if I don't know the number, and I rarely call people back. So,
yep.
And I'm late a lot.
For me, I don't get emails.
Okay.
No.
Okay. Go
He
into that.
even get them.
Why is that?
Well, I mean, I have my assumptions. I know that they're, again, kind of without going too deep on our first go round. I'm sure I'll be back. But yeah, I think that there are people who make it so for me in general, right? I'm a black dude from Alabama. I'm supposed to be happy just to be here. I'm supposed to be the kind of goofy, lovable. Like, I think they kind of. I know, yeah. but they treated me like I was just a dumb fucking hick who should just be happy that he made it to a certain level. Then when I started surpassing people, it was like, whoa, you weren't supposed to do all that shit. Because dude, when I first moved to Chicago, there was like I want to say 15, 20 days in, something like that. It was less than 3 months. I remember someone giving me a ride to to a little bar after, and I think we all did a show or an open mic, something like that. We all rode together. It was a good time. We're drinking this, that, the third, and then I'm ready to like, drop people off, taking people home, taking people to the train. Right. The issue is I was new there. I didn't know like which train operated when, so the train that they were trying to take me to was already done. I had to walk for 2 hours to find a bus that would be open. I ended up walking. I believe that bar had to let out at 3-4, something like that. And by the time I made it to a bus, I was able to get to my apartment and stuff. It was like, wow, this is how this is. And I remember people telling me early on, like, yeah, we just thought you acted too friendly. Okay, so now I'll be an asshole, right? And now that I'm an asshole, but I'm an asshole who smiles, the kind of implication is, whoa, so this guy he must be trying to manipulate us, or he must be a dick, or this, that, the third. Yeah. It's like, you guys were just telling me I was smiling too much and I was too happy and trying to be too friendly. So now I'm doing this shit, or I'm not the expectation of what people want me to be or perceive me to be. Then it's like, whoa, what else is this? What is he hiding? All that kind of. You've all been mean to me for 4 years. So what do you want me to do? You know.
Well, what are you hiding? That's what we want to know. You can say it now.
Everybody else's secrets. Yeah. Everybody else's secrets, apparently.
What
that might be true.
But are you hiding anything? Do you have any like secret talents? Can you play any musical instruments? Can you like? I don't know. Like
amazing segue, Derek.
Yeah. Can you?
I play trombone.
There we go. That's what I'm talking about. Trombone is a crazy instrument.
Yeah.
Like it is, because it changes size, and none of the rest of them do. Most of them, you get like a little bit of this, just a little movement of the fingers.
Yeah.
Maybe this. Mm-hmm. This thing is
second only to the accordion.
Yeah. Mm. Oh yeah, the accordion. That one's good. Yeah. But man, this one, it's loud. I love it. You gotta like pour spit out of it.
You're right though, Derek, because it's like the trombone is a real, like that's a statement. Yeah. That's a statement of an instrument. That's like you wear a trombone. You kind of hang a guitar around your neck. You wear a trombone. It's on your shoulder like a 2x4, and it and it works as a pretty good weapon as well.
Yeah.
Like if somebody gives. Do you still play?
Every now and then, yeah. I'll go to, if I'm like at a party where there's karaoke, I'll play. There's a jam band out here in LA that I'll go to every now and then as well.
Go back. Karaoke with a live, brass quartet?
No, just me. I'll just come out with my trombone if there's karaoke.
And do they know when you sign up, you write your name on the slip and you just say, Martin Morrow, I'm going to do, Wind Beneath My Wings.
15 minutes.
And then you walk up, whip out the trombone, and they're like, what is about to happen right now? Like, that is an amazing thing. I would love to see that.
Me too.
Yeah, I feel like there's definitely videos somewhere online of me playing trombone.
No, really, let's go. Right. Questions. We need to get to the bottom of this. So you're paint the picture. You're going to a karaoke night with your trombone.
Yes.
Well,
yes.
Okay.
Like in a case.
Wait. He can afford his own trombone, Ben. What are you trying to suggest?
No. Look. I'm saying, seldom does one go to a karaoke night with their own kit. Normally, the mic and everything you need is already there. But Martin is going there kitted out. He's prepped. Mm-hmm. And so you turn up with your own trombone, and then are you asking somebody else in the bar, like, okay, look, I need you to be my vocals because like, I've got the gear, but I need you there to. I'm not going to be taking the mic. Like, I can't look. I'm not a magician. I can't play the trombone and sing at the same time. Or are you just doing like a vote? Are you doing the melody on a trombone?
It's a mixed bag. So usually, if I'm doing a song where there's like an instrumental break or something like that,
is this real? Are we doing a?
This is real.
I can't tell anymore. Jesus
This is
Christ.
real.
Okay, go on. All
incredible.
right.
This is how trusting I am. I didn't even question that. Like Martin, you could have had my pants down right now, and I'd have been with you the whole way.
Well,
But
Why would I have
anyway,
pants
so carry on. So you literally so you'll pick a song with one hell of an instrumental.
Yes, and either do that, or if I'm like I have a friend who has a karaoke set up in his house, and if he's having a party, and they do the karaoke thing, then I'll just pull out the trombone. I usually keep it in my trunk, and I'll just start playing along to songs that kind of can use it.
Were you always able to make playing the trombone cool?
And how often do you keep it in your trunk?
I would say sixth Jesus Christ, 6th through 9th grade, I was not able to make it look cool. But when I joined jazz band, I kind of was able to cool it up a little bit. I was like one of 3, maybe 5 black kids in my marching band or in my band in general. So I think automatically, because this is Trussville, Alabama, so I was able to bump up the cool factor of the band, even though I myself was not cool outside of band. But because I was cool in band, I made the band look, because I would like do choreography that. So yeah, that was like the quote unquote cool factor. And then your other question was, how often do I keep it in my trunk? I mean, I guess it depends on the barometer here, but like a decent amount. Like right now, I'm cleaning out my trunk.
Time is the barometer I usually use for a question like that.
Or a percentage.
Yeah, percentages work.
I'd say 60% of the time it's in my trunk. Right now, it's not, only because I'm cleaning out my trunk.
Fair enough. Well,
all right.
You're not a savage, right? So, yeah, of course, that makes total sense.
Yeah,
that makes total sense.
I can't believe I've never
Derek.
seen you play trombone.
I can't believe I've never seen it either, actually.
I played it at Second City twice. I played it on my tour show, and I played it. I played it on main stage.
I just can't believe you pulled it off. You brought it up so blasé about the whole thing. That's why I asked the question. Is like, that wasn't. You spoke about it like that's not unusual. Like the bringing a trombone to a karaoke bar is just, that's just what goes on in Martin's world. Right. That's just that's how he gets down. Like, I imagine you now. I've got a vision of you now at a karaoke bar, looking at everyone else like they're weirdos because they don't have their own instruments.
No one here brought a flute. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Flute's easy.
God
you
damn.
put that in your pocket. You know, trombone.
But
you gotta you have to, like, the door guy, as a former door guy. If somebody walked up with that, I would be like, you're going to have to open that up before I let you inside this establishment, because that looks like it could hold anything inside of it. It's a huge case.
Yeah.
And
usually if I'm at Rainbow in West Hollywood, then they typically ask me to open up the case to check and make sure it's not like.
Yeah. Are you randomly selected to open up the case, or is everyone?
Well, I'm the only one with a case, so I guess it depends on how random that could be.
Yeah. They ask you every time. Doesn't sound.
I'm trying
random.
to make sure that you're not. Yeah. That's all I'm trying to suggest here. So, okay. So, why not use this as content? Because this is weird. I think we've all kind of established that. And, you alluded earlier that there are ways now to sort of build a path in comedy that don't necessarily involve the traditional routes. Thank God for that. Good Lord. Why not post something like that? And what do you think of posting content and posting it regularly to places like YouTube and whatnot?
I mean, I feel like I've posted it before a while ago, and it just didn't. Either it didn't get traction, or I actually didn't post it, and I just thought I did. But I did do
some
like
of
a
it
cut.
Did. There's a video out there I sent to the guys that has like at least $250,000 from the Laugh Factory. So
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
some of it abstraction.
No, I mean, I was saying as far as trombone goes.
Oh, excuse me. Oh, okay, well, sorry.
Yeah, I
excuse
thought
me.
you were
Yeah,
asking
same
why don't I
topic,
post
Baz.
trombone
Do us all a favour.
Yeah.
We're not done with the trombone stuff yet. How often do you meet this? How often do you encounter?
I have one thing to say. Okay, you were actually the fourth person from Alabama that I've met that plays guitar, and I have only met 5 people from Alabama. So it's 4 out of 5 now. I mean, is there something about trombones and Alabama? Do they make trombones there? Why is it so popular? Okay. No. Okay.
I don't think it's. Look, when I was growing up, we didn't just have a trombone shop willy nilly. I don't know what it's like now down there, but I can only speak from my experience. I knew the trombone players. I knew the Taylors, the Bens, the Brooks, the Blakes.
Okay.
The Ryans, the Paynes. There was a guy named Payne who played.
That's way too
What is your life?
aggressive a name for a trombone player. What, a trombonist? Is that the verb? The noun rather? A trombonist?
I'd say
Actually, it's a
so.
verb,
We tried to get
That's
tromboner as a thing.
Of course.
We had our t-shirts made.
Yeah. I'm gonna steer us back and ask him about what his thoughts are. I know. Look, you can ask as many trombone questions as you like, son.
Okay.
But let's just get this one out of the way.
All right.
And you can, you know what I mean? So, okay, you've got a new way of thinking about the business. What are you doing to take advantage of it?
I feel like I am to some extent. I'm kind of taking the methods of what's working. So like right now, you post on TikTok, you post a different clip on Instagram, you post on YouTube Shorts. YouTube Shorts, you get like usually 2,000-3,000 views.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Did you hear that, Derek?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. Go on.
I mean, I'm agreeing with everything he's saying. I think this all sounds really good. Do you run like a Discord? I've heard people talk about that. I don't know what that means, but I hear people talk.
I don't think I'm at a Discord level quite yet.
Okay.
I don't know if that's a thing for. I think that's usually for like people who fuck dogs. I think like Discord is like, hey, you want to watch this video?
Interesting.
No idea
So,
that's what Discord was about.
I feel like it's also video games, probably.
Okay.
Just to let everybody know, we do have a Discord. Feel free to
Okay.
join.
We have Discord.
Yeah. No.
So the 2 poles then of Discord users, there must be somewhere between dog and video game enthusiasts.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know where I would fall between those 2 poles. But I'm kind of with you on the Discord thing. I know we have one. I still don't really understand what it's for. It kind of feels like a digital version of like of a clubhouse, I think, like where you can sort of hang out with people. It's almost like a comment section for like where you can talk about the content, but without being in the whole public domain.
We have a Discord, and you can join it. And I know we're not selling it well right now, but like
not at all.
You're welcome to join.
I feel like we need like
we have 200
Jake
members.
Paula, a Jake Paula style name, or Logang, or Belieber. We need to be called, like, I don't know, the Raisin Bread Slices. Like our fans, if there's any of you out there, seek help. There you go. Right, Breadheads, fantastic. Yeah. What would Martin Morrow's fans be called?
MFers, Morrow followers.
All right.
Oh, that was premeditated. Yeah, you've thought about that. There's some post-its knocking around your apartment with a lot of drafts of that. That was so quick and so slick. The MFers. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So he's like, let me describe Martin real quick. I'm warning my co-host here. Martin is like if Derek didn't hold back and did the all shucks, I'm just a Midwesterner from Oklahoma. I don't know what's going on.
Right.
That you got rid of that. You got Martin.
Tried hard. Yeah. No. Yeah.
Yeah.
He, like,
Yeah.
fucking
Why are you
does
so
it for
angry?
real.
No, here's the thing. I'm not angry at all.
There's the eternal question, Martin.
Listen, I'm not angry at all. That's the question, Captain. I'm always angry. No, I want Derek to succeed, and so sometimes that manifests itself in not the best ways, and I take some anger out on him. So that's why I want him to be
Derek,
like you, Martin. I want him to post content.
Well, let me ask you, Derek. Derek, what does success look like to you?
You want to go around the room and come back to me? I'm not ready.
You see what I'm fucking talking about? You see what I'm fucking talking about? Every time. You understand why I'm angry? You didn't know why before, but now you know. Every time.
You know what?
No, I mean,
I would like to get I want to buy a Toyota Sienna. That would be success for me.
Okay.
That's what I'm looking into. It doesn't have to be new. It could be real old. Toyota Sienna.
We've got a lot of
Right?
yeah. No,
I think that's more of a flex than Derek.
Oh,
Like,
really? I know.
a man in a minivan. That's a confident man.
But how are you supposed to travel on the road with that? You're gonna do road shows, son. You're gonna travel with a Toyota Sienna.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could travel with 6 friends,
Yeah.
and they've all got their own cup holder.
We could fit like 5 trombones in the back, and I have a full band.
You could fit a sousaphone in a Toyota Sienna.
Sure, right in the back.
Speaking of, I just learned about the craziest instrument, the octobass. Has anybody seen one of these? The octobass.
Is that
No.
the forehead bass?
It's no. It's like, okay, so there's a double bass that's like the tallest one, but then there's one that you have to stand on a platform and you can't reach the fucking neck. You have to like just use these things, and you have to use a bow because it's too fucking big. I'm just gonna show you a picture of it because it is.
That is insane. I've just got a picture up.
Huge.
What?
Yeah.
That looks like you'd have to play it like the rats in Ratatouille play their one.
Yes. Yeah,
like
exactly.
full
Standing on top of one
cartoon, standing on top of one another with a long overcoat.
Yeah.
And because weirdly enough, I never thought that this off-air conversation would ever be brought up on a podcast. Derek and I have discussed string instrument bow ratios before, because Derek assumed that the bigger the instrument, the bigger the bow, and I had to be the one. I had to be the one to break it to him that it's actually very counterintuitive because you have less articulation when you're reaching out in front of you like that. So the double bass or the octobass, I imagine that bow is like 6 inches long, like because you just don't have that. You don't have any reach.
Well, you don't have to use your hands on the neck, so you get to have a big one again. You know.
Can also just
and this is a one-man instrument.
Yeah.
Yeah. That
Go on, Martin.
I'm still stuck on the Ratatouille thing. Like I don't remember that scene in Ratatouille. I feel like if anyone references Ratatouille, they reference cooking. I've never seen Ratatouille referenced outside of either rats or cooking. And this is I'm like, what, did they play bass in Ratatouille? When did the rats play bass?
Look, Martin, it's as yet undiagnosed autism. It's the scene where oh god, I wasn't expecting follow-up questions. It's the scene where in the colony, and they're in and it's before they get Remy to smell all the food to see if it's gone off. And so he's like chilling out in the restaurant area, the little rat restaurant, and there's a house band, and they're all playing their little instruments made of like a bottle cap and stuff. And I'm pretty sure that there is 2 rats playing a double bass, or a rat-sized double bass, but actually an octabass, because they're on each other's shoulders.
I mean, can you see the picture I'm sharing right now?
This is of course the photo from Ratatouille, in which they play. Yes,
that's so funny. I mean, that's going to be hard to travel in your Toyota Sienna with, bro.
Right.
And how are you supposed?
I got roof racks on it. It's great.
But how are you supposed to incorporate it into the act? Like, how does that work?
Everybody.
I feel like that's the easiest part.
Yeah.
Okay, go on. So, what's the difference in crowds? How are you navigating that giant thing between?
You said that with so much venom, Baz. You literally. Oh, all right then, smart ass. Come on then, fucking octopus in your set. Right, go, Martin. Fucking dropping a claim like that. How would you include it? What would you do? Have the audience members bring it in like pallbearers at a funeral? Yeah. Bring you the octabass to the stage?
Yeah. Or you just have it set up and you just hit like a punchline and you walk over and you just slap it really hard.
Yeah.
Don't even slap the string. You just slap the side of it.
Yeah. Preferably something racist, for sure.
No, Martin, to fill you in, basically, this podcast recently resulted in me no longer being employed. And because of things that we have said on it. And this is definitely but this is definitely an anecdote that will be recycled. So if you're a regular listener to Raisin Bread, thank you, but bear with me because I'm going to milk this for all it's worth. It lost me my job. They took 20 excerpts out of the podcast to grill me on and say, like, this was said, what did you mean by it? Or any comment on this? One of the funniest ones was Baz said to me, Ben, you have to understand, you have friends that are N-words now. Up until now, you've lived an N-wordless existence. And it was very funny. But they didn't read out that whole quote. What they told me was, they said, now, at episode whatever, at timestamp whatever, your co-host says the N-word twice, and then you laugh for an extended period. Any comment on that? So I was cost my job because I laughed at a black man saying the N-word. Apparently.
It was 2 black men in that episode.
Yes, there were 2 black men on that episode. So, for God's sake, be careful. You can't just be wielding.
We're not.
Yeah, that's a real story. That genuinely happened.
If you don't mind me asking, did you enjoy working there though?
Do you know, I did. I really did enjoy working there. It was great. It was kind of weird because it's a very strange thing, and I'll try not to dwell on this too much because we are going to do a full episode on it. But I really enjoyed working there. It's very weird though, because I have the sense of humor that I have, hence why we're here talking now. It's also known as a good one. You have to conceal yourself in the modern workplace. You can't let that be known that you enjoy a good laugh in a corporate environment. And I was at a big company. And what's weird about it is I would hang out with these people knowing full well that if they knew my views and the jokes I like to make, they wouldn't want to be friends with me anymore. But what's weird about it is I still want to be friends with them. Like, because I still found them enjoyable people to hang around with, even though I know they disagree with me on a lot. And that's what's really strange, because I did enjoy working there. It's, anyway, in a weird way, kind of relieving, because now it's like, oh, well, you can watch me on the internet as my colleague, and you can actually find out what happened if you You can find out what I said exactly if you want to in its full context. I don't think they will do that because that's not really the method du jour. When there's any kind of controversy, the last thing you want to do is find out the details. But I remain hopeful. But yeah, I did enjoy working there. Yeah, it was great.
Wow.
I mean,
Which is not the answer that anyone's expecting. That's
No,
not what anyone's expecting me to say. Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting because it's a similar. I mean, I don't know. I've told my story of being canceled from comedy on this podcast before, and it's really just sort of interesting watching the dynamics of that. And it's like, I don't know, man. It's very bizarre. Ben is very. I mean, like, I finance most of this show, right? I like a black dude made the joke, but it's weird to me that he kind of got the hammer for him. Although I did enjoy, Ben, that you did make them repeat what I said.
Yes, I did. So when they brought up that bit, so they read it to me as your co-host says the N-word twice and then you laugh. Any comment. And I went, when you say it like that, it just sounds like he said the N-word and I throw my head back in hysterics. What did he say? Like, what did he actually say? And they didn't have the quote. They went like, I don't remember. It's like, well, we can, I didn't say this, but it's like we can pull up YouTube real quick and we can verify. But I just found that, like, Baz finds this particularly entertaining because he pictures it like I did it, like a good cop, bad cop, like stood up and shone the light in their face and went, what did he say? Yeah. Say it like he said it. But like, it was honestly like, because you can't just do that. You can't just pull the word out of context and go like, he said this word and then you laughed. It's like, we didn't just start the podcast and Baz just went N-word and I just lost my mind. That's not how it happened. Yeah. It was in a joke. It was in the full context. But I still just can't go over that I didn't even say anything.
Yeah. Well, at least you guys have listeners. Granted, it does come from a place that fired Ben, but that's
got him, baby.
That's how you build an audience, There's going to be someone.
Nailed it.
There's one boss who's like, damn. We got to fire Ben, but I think I might keep listening to this. Like this, got some good opinions on here, or whatever.
Oh man,
Jesus! I was waiting for him to get us. I was waiting for him to get. I was like, I'm not going to get us. I don't know when, but it's coming. And shit, man, wasn't ready. Was definitely too relaxed. So yeah.
Oh man.
I mean, it's a whole weird situation with it's whatever. We'll do an episode on it, but it's disappointing and it's stupid and it's I don't know. It's making me wonder what is comedy the only thing? I mean, can you be canceled in comedy? Is comedy the only thing left that can't be canceled?
So let me say I'll say yes and no. Okay. Okay. In one regard, right? You can be canceled from anything, and that's why I fucking hate it when people are like, cancel culture doesn't exist. There's no such thing as canceling. It's just the consequences of it's like, that's not true. They're like, if the oldest example that people reference all the time is the Salem witch trials. They don't realize the Salem witch trials wasn't just like, yeah, they were women who were different. It's not like that. There were men and women who were both being killed, and it was because like someone was like, yeah, I don't like that motherfucker. I think that dude's. There's like one guy who just didn't like his wife. Like he was like, my wife's fucking annoying. If I just tell people that she is a witch, then she gets put on trial and killed. I get to be a free, happy man again, because like divorce was so frowned upon back then.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just this idea of but in that again, that the goddamn the old blacklist in Hollywood when they thought everyone was a communist, and you could just say that guy's a communist without any, or that person was at a communist party. I heard them speak Russian, whatever the fuck. You could just say stuff, and people would. If you get the masses to believe in something, then you could get someone quote unquote canceled. Granted, the verbiage changed, but that's essentially what it is. Now, there's a way to survive it. I think the number one way is you just don't apologize, because I think when you apologize, then you're sort of catering to the masses, and then they're like, "See, we got him. He wouldn't apologize if he didn't do XYZ." At the same time, if you did do some shit, then be like, "Hey, this is what happened."
Yeah.
But I think another thing that we forget is context, because it's always, there's his side, her side, and the fucking truth. But we don't value the truth anymore, because we need to jump on the thing in this like constant fucking news cycle of whatever. So but again, I think that also harkens back to an audience. So there's a reason why like an Aziz Ansari could get canceled for a date go wrong or whatever the fuck you even want to call what happened in that article, versus like an Anthony Jeselnik who can do a joke about, fucking a minor, or what's the guy? Kyle Kinane, who has a joke about like having sex with a 13-year-old Down syndrome girl, right? But Aziz Ansari presented himself as the like, I'm a good, sweet kind of meek guy. But, like, why can't that guy want to get his dick sucked by a girl who left her date to go hang out with Aziz Ansari? Like, the context matters, but we don't look at that because we just see the red flags at the end. Versus, like a Chris D'Elia is still touring and selling out. Now, whatever he did is whatever he did. He is,
He is, yeah.
He was just at the Chicago theater. He sold out the Chicago theater. Yeah.
Good for it's a really salient point. Sorry, go ahead. Carry on.
No. I was just saying, and I'll end it with this, but like, so if you have a built-in audience, or an audience that understands you, or an audience that just doesn't give a fuck, then yes, you could be canceled from a job or from the masses. Your name might be trending, or might be, always in the ire of XYZ person. But at the same time, you could have people who still like you, love you, believe in you, whatever. So it's just a matter of finding your audience, because this group is always going to hate you no matter what, whether you're innocent, guilty, or somewhere in between.
So
it's a matter
of saying is we got to start our own cults of people so that we can, so that we're impervious. We don't want to end up Socrates. He got canceled. Who else? Here's some of the other famous ones. Abraham Lincoln canceled.
Yeah, Marie Antoinette.
Yeah, Marie Antoinette.
John F. Kennedy. Yeah. In a way, I think Martin Luther King Jr. was canceled. Like, it was.
Yes.
First off, they pointed out that he was cheating on his wife. They were pointing out like, oh yeah, he was like fucking. He was allegedly fucking white women too. So he was really trying to live the dream that he spoke of, right? He was like, I should get some white pussy every now and then, right, guys?
I mean, they built a statue of him. They built a statue of him eating box, right? Like it's come full circle. Yeah, yeah. So
he's a giver. I like it.
But it's when you there's a few real poignant points that you brought up there. I think one of the ones certainly is not apologizing, because the main reason being is because in times gone by, in yesteryear, when you apologize, well, typically you'd apologize because you want forgiveness, but even in this context, you'd apologize because it would make the problem go away. Whereas with the mob, so to speak, it doesn't work. You apologize and then the mob go, right, we got him. And then we move on to the next guy. The other thing is when you talk about the witch hunt, when people bring up the witch hunt as a comparison, it's like, yeah, we look back on that unfavorably as well. We don't think they should have been burned and killed or thrown in a river to see if they float. So it's such a dumb analogy. It's like, because the one thing where I can see where the other side is. To say other side, it's not the other fucking side, but you know what I mean. Like the opponents to the idea of cancel culture, I can kind of see where they're coming from, because, like, for example, in the UK recently, we had. I'm sure you guys are familiar with Roald Dahl.
Yeah.
there was a big kind of scandalish in the UK, as scandalous as it can get here, and lots of tutting. And Roald Dahl, obviously very famous children's author, and there was Puffin, who are the Go on.
He wrote about big things, you know.
He wrote about big things. Yeah.
Huge.
He certainly did. Yeah. He actually, you're right. He liked adjectives for big.
Yeah.
The enormous crocodile, the giant peach.
Yeah.
Never thought of it like that. But yeah, so there was a big thing about editing his books. Puffin were going to edit his books to make them more applicable, or what do they say, like modernize them and bring them up with the times, or whatever Guardian columnist wrote about it. And it was, examples were like in The Witches, where the grandma says to the boy she might be a cashier in a supermarket or sending letters for a businessman. That was going to be changed to she might be a top scientist or running her own business. Right. Like those examples. I really love that top scientist. Like, you can't just, it's not enough to like elevate women and say that they could just be a scientist. Right. Like we don't, why top? Why not best? Because but anyway, there was a comedian called Russell Kane. There's a British comedian called Russell Kane he's a great comic. Oh, sorry, I missed that one. Wait, I feel like I missed the juicy one.
Oh, I mean, they would be successful. They're witches, right? You know, I mean, they have magic. Why not?
Yeah,
but it's just magic, like, why would you just stick with being a cashier?
But there were lots of examples, right? There were examples like Augustus Gloop no longer being called fat. He gets called enormous. But then, but anyway, like that's. But like,
his last name is
the point that I want to bring up. Yeah, right. Augustus Gloop is the fattest name. It's the fattest name. But like, anyway, the reason I wanted to bring this up is to bring it back to your brilliant monologue about cancel culture, is because you've got Russell Kane, very good British comedian, love him, but he's there going like, I don't think it's that many people. I think like there's really not that many people trying to do this and trying to edit history and blah blah blah. So, and I'm sitting there going like, Russell, I want you to be right, but there's enough people not saying anything, and then there's enough people, even if it's a small number, it's enough people at the publishing company saying we should do this. Then there's enough people at a directorial level going, yes, go and do that. And it's only when the British public tut in unison that they do a U-turn and because they've now said they won't do it. They've now said that they're going to leave the books as is. And it's just like, the problem is even if it's a minority of people, which it almost certainly is, who are screaming, like the Chris D'Elia case, take any case of any comedian getting cancelled. It's a very small number of people who are actually crying about it. And I don't mean crying tears. I mean crying out about it, sorry. But they have enough of an impact to sway the discourse, which means that it is enough people. It is a lot of people, because I'd argue that don't sleep on a.
Is it enough
if it's enough to influence a decision, then I'd say yeah.
I don't think it's a matter of a number of people. I think it's the way we discuss. At least in the United States, I can't speak for the British, but I think it's the way we sort of discuss womanhood, right? So if it's at least one person, that's enough, unfortunately.
Right.
So I don't know. For me,
I mean, it's like, but I think, well, the thing is, I think in situations like this, the people who stand idly by end up, in my view, through this particular lens, become complicit because. And that means that it is a huge number of people, because it's like there's a lot of people who think that it's just a phase, or like it's just a cultural cultures change all the time. But even for example, you said it there, Martin, of like when it's like, oh, it's not cancel culture, it's consequence culture. It's like, that's just typical word salad tactics. It's like, okay, yes, it's consequence culture. And what is that consequence? Oh, it's cancellation. So that's why we call it cancel culture. Like, right. It's renaming it doesn't change what it is. Yeah. And then that goes into one of the, what I would say is one of the best comedy bits of all time, which is Carlin talking about the words for shell shock and how it evolved from shell shock to battle fatigue to operational exhaustion to, you can tell how many times I've watched it, to post-traumatic stress disorder.
Right.
And he talks about, how it's the same thing. It's the same condition, but you've just changed the word and you've dehumanized it completely. And it's the same. Cancel culture hits, cancelled. He was cancelled. Whereas consequence culture is just soft and it just clouds the actual meaning.
What? Okay.
Yeah.
What? Well, I'm not totally disagreeing. The post-traumatic stress disorder is better for telling people what happened. Like shell shock is just like, he's fucking crazy. But if post-traumatic stress disorder is like, he had a traumatic event, that we're dealing with that from the post. I don't. It's scientists are not good at coming up with names, as I think is what we're coming up with.
They're not good branding. They're not good at branding, is what you're saying. Right.
Scientists need new marketing.
Probably a newspaper writer, and post-traumatic stress disorder was a graduate assistant came with that.
I think.
Well, no, you're right. To be honest, it's after the trauma, post-traumatic, and you're stressed. Yeah. To the point where it's disorderly. So look, great. But like shell shock kind of trims the fat. Yeah. And it's the point being that it's like when they describe the same condition, or the same thing, when a word is used to describe the same thing, like no two words exist that have exactly the same definition because one of them eventually gets phased out. So to me, it feels like an attempt, by calling it consequence culture, it feels like an attempt to take the severity out of the expression.
Right.
Because for example, a good example would be Tate, when people go, oh, what do you mean? He's not cancelled because he's still rich and he's still got all his houses and everything. And it's like, oh, but yeah, fine. But he when he was banned from Twitter and all the rest of it, it's like he's no longer able to partake in the public arena like other people. Sure, he's still got money and he's still far more powerful than your average Joe, but that I don't think that negates the colloquialism cancelled is applicable to him.
Yeah, and I think that also we tend to have this belief that because someone, I wouldn't even say got out of cancellation, but if someone is able to work outside of the realms of what the cancellation was, then they think, well, see, he's still rich, or he's still getting this, that, the third. So it doesn't, because like you still lost an opportunity. You still lost some things. It could even be a friendship. It could be a relationship. It could be a job that you were gonna have. Like if people have a certain view of you based off of a thing that they heard, then you are canceled, be it real, fake, whatever the fuck. That part doesn't matter. If you lost something in some way, a thing was canceled from you, or you were canceled from that thing. So it still is applicable, even if you are able to maintain a life. Or like, I feel like when people say, well, cancel culture doesn't exist because this person still is doing this, it's like, do you want him to die? Was that your end goal? Like, do you want why didn't he blow his brains out as soon as he knew that people heard this thing about him? He should be just a patter of goo on the side of the road.
Well, I think what's really interesting about that is that it's like, at least for me politically, it's kind of a testament to where people's priorities are. I mean, you know this about me, Martin. I'm definitely not liberal, not anymore, especially after my experiences in comedy. But like, it's interesting to me that the side that is all about rehabilitation and is all about sort of bringing people back into the fold, right? Especially post prison, or post any sort of I don't know, any sort of like federal prison or punishment system designed for criminals. Like, that's the group that doesn't want reintegration, despite preaching for reintegration. So it's interesting that there's these conflicting values, and I think, I mean, it's why I mean, I don't know if I lean
hypocrisy in politics. No,
I know.
Show me.
Truly.
I'm upset.
Truly.
Don't buy it.
And the weird thing is, I don't lean either way, like politically anymore. It's all the same to me. But it's just, it really, I think, is very revealing. And for me, there's also like a racial component, which we don't have to get into. But like,
No, get into it. Fuck that.
Yeah, I was going to say, can we? Look,
he already
Baz,
lost his
the
job.
damage is done. Yeah. The damage is done. What are they going to do? What can they do again?
What was I? What I was gonna say was that, I mean, at least when I was in Chicago, I
Pesky black people. Yeah.
Yes. Well, we're scamps. The thing
Add that to the list.
Chicago.
Add that to the list, job.
Write that down.
That'll be another email.
Bit of mischief makers. The thing is in Chicago, because like when I hear things that like, people don't get canceled, I watched a bunch of nameless black dudes get canceled, and it was interesting because I felt like, and I don't have the data for this, so I can't actually confirm it. Right? I'm speaking purely from conjecture and from observation.
Okay.
It seemed pretty disproportionately black dudes.
And
I saw.
Let me ask you this too, Basil. Just based off of that, how many times did you hear a story about a black dude in comedy doing something that people were like, "Oh my god," but you also heard a white person doing the same thing, be them a woman or a man,
and nothing happened.
You heard about them doing the same thing, and they were like, "That's kind of cool, right?" Or "Yeah, you go, girl," or whatever the fuck. How often did you hear that?
I don't know about the you go girl part, but there was a silence. There was a
If I may go into that a little bit more, what do you mean? Like what are we like? It's all hypothetical, audience.
Yeah.
But like when you say the you go girl, you lost me there. What do you mean? Like, so are we talking about a black guy who's not up to mischief, but a white guy who is?
A white woman, I think, is what he's referring to.
Oh, white woman. Okay.
Or either or. So, from my experience, right, I remember hearing a story. Not even like, oh, I'm hearing this like third hand. It was her telling me that she was like, yeah, this thing happened with this guy. I guess I raped him. Those were her words. Okay. And I was like, but like, she was like trying to sort of defend. I remember we were driving in her car. We were trying to defend the actions, whatever, and explain it. And me being in her car, me being her friend, I was like, it is what it is, blah, 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 right? And then later on, when that guy talked about it from his perspective, from his point of view, her responding to that and people being like, well, fuck him, instead of being like, hey, you did something kind of fucked up. Like, we should really talk about this, that this can happen from both sides, that this is a thing that is reoccurring. But because one was more prominent than the other, the implication was, well, that can't really be like that because we like this person and we support this person.
Right.
And they just happen to be a white woman.
But would prominence have mattered, though? Let's be honest. Because I think the Johnny Depp case was really interesting because it kind of showed to us that Johnny is obviously, I barely knew who Amber Heard was. And people didn't, for whatever reason, people didn't know that those recordings that people heard, they've been out for years, by the way. And she said the same things, right? Like, who's going to believe you, Johnny?
Yeah.
And he has vastly more power and vastly more prominence. So my thing is not to like, I don't know. I don't want people to think that like we're so foolish enough or naive to think that these things, things don't happen to women. What I do find interesting is the disproportionate sort of punishment that is wielded upon outgroup men, and by outgroup men I mean non-white men, and the fact that situations where we would, maybe no one here, but those who sort of participate casually in the cultural zeitgeist would believe to occur, like, oh, rich white dude gets anything, can get away with anything. It's like, well, this chick, she Willy Wonka on this dude's bed, right? Like, that's
she Augustus Glooped on his bed.
She Augustus Glooped. God damn you still got it. Yeah, she glooped up. Yeah, she Augustus Glooped all over his bed. He still got it. But the fact that we kind of just dismiss all that, or at least don't at least take it as plausible or possible, is just interesting to me. That's all.
It doesn't matter what happens to a man, and that's
right.
Which, I mean, yeah, I kind of feel that way sometimes. It's like, yeah, it's a fucking dude. I don't care what happens to him. He get hit by a car, like when Meet Joe Black, when he gets hit by the car. It's funny. Laugh about it every time. Every time I see Brad Pitt get hit by a car, I laugh, because seeing a man get hit by a car is hilarious.
Seeing a white woman
Wait,
get hit,
why?
hang on. Seeing a white woman get hit by a car.
Guy.
Seeing a white woman get hit by a car is pretty hilarious to me.
Well, I mean, I'm not saying that on a podcast.
I'm not saying that.
I am.
I'm never going to do that.
I'm definitely not prospective employers. Absolutely not.
I stand
Don't laugh, Ben. Ben, you better not fucking laugh. Ben?
Yeah. Like, I have a bunch of friends that they tell me, like, their story about how they lost their virginity. And it's the same story. I was 13, right? And it was this girl in high school. She was 18. She put me in her Camaro, and we went out to the woods, and we had sex in her car. I was like, you were assaulted by a high schooler. And they were like, no, it wasn't. I was not. I loved it.
It was the coolest thing that ever happened to me.
I'm a man. You're a man who suffered sexual assault as a child.
Yeah.
What, you think it's sexual assault? What, are you gay?
Yeah.
No.
Wouldn't dress that way.
Just thinking adults shouldn't have sex with children does not make me gay.
Well, I think there's anytime that's been like brought up, I think there's this idea of, well, the guy got hard. It's like, that's because that's not like arousal doesn't work because you're like, I'm into this. Sometimes it could be fear based. It could be just, like it's the blood rushing to the penis. That's essentially what that is.
There is a phenomenon called the no reason boner.
Yeah,
we're all aware of the no reason boner. Yeah. There must have been a time where an unwanted sexual advance from a woman coincided with the no reason boner.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and there was nothing he could do. He didn't know why. He was so confused. Yeah. He was confused about why he first.
Yeah. And I mean, I remember.
I'm not even mad. I'm impressed.
Like when I was a kid. Somebody said that they were like, oh, somebody got arrested, and there's a couple of women and a man at the mall, and I was like, how's that even possible? And then somebody said, well, he has a butt, and I was like, oh, I didn't even think of that. Yeah,
I didn't think about that till now.
Exactly. You forget everybody has one, and it can be violated in the same way.
Edit all of this time.
But it does feel weird. God, we're really in the weeds now, huh? It does feel odd to call that, because like it what are they using?
Anything.
What are these? But this is what I mean. No, so that feels weird to call that grape. It feels weird to call that grape because it's like because it's grape. No.
What is going on here?
No, wait. Hold the vitriol, put down the pitchforks.
Yeah.
No, but it's like, it just feels odd because you associate, or I associate that word so intrinsically with body parts only.
Right.
That the idea of that being used to describe a foreign object being shoved up somebody just feels strange. Like absolutely it's sexual assault, but it feels weird to call it that.
Okay.
Because as well, like with the worst form. Go on.
Ben, thing that you talked about, where you're changing it from one word to sexual assault. You're lessening it.
Yeah,
Ben,
George Carlin.
Is it just a foot? You said foreign objects. Like, what about a foot up someone's butt? Is that not?
Yeah.
Look, I'm not saying I wouldn't use the word. I'm just saying it doesn't sound immediately applicable. It doesn't sound immediately like the. I don't know what the word is.
No,
I'd almost
think
think it should. Go on.
No, I was gonna say I think that's the issue. So I'll tell you this story. When I was in middle school, or junior high, 8th grade, right? My junior high school had this rivalry with the school called Mortimer Jordan. Okay, and again, this is in Jefferson County, Alabama. At Mortimer Jordan, there was like this school scandal of sorts where there is this kid who came into their locker room. I'm not sure if something was, if he was a football player, or, he was just like a different kid or whatever. But the members of this team allegedly had like assaulted him with a broomstick by pulling his pants down.
Oh, I heard about this. Yeah.
Yeah. This is like had to be 2000, 2001, somewhere right there, right? But because of the nature of this case, who was involved, et cetera, it wasn't a thing of like, oh my God, this is a serious issue. We need to like really have concern about this young man, this boy. How is he going to grow up? How is it going to affect him going forward? When we played Mortimer Jordan, kids in our section, right, would hold up brooms, like, yeah, like that. Like that was. Yikes. So I'm saying, because we don't look at that type of thing as grape, we tend to. It's been mocked for years and years.
Yeah.
So it's not even like that's why people are able to get away with the shit when it's done to a dude, or like, yeah.
I want to say live on air now, for the record, my mind has been changed on the matter. It's definitely an applicable word. Oh my God, that is horrific. That is horrific. Can you imagine that happening when you were at school? I remember being at a school ice hockey game where our school, that's actually at university, shouting at the other university's goalkeeper. And I didn't, because of course I would never shout such horrible things at a sporting event. But the people who were shouting things, they had to they made the other team have to sub off their goalkeeper just because. And that was all made up stuff. That was all like your mum jokes. That was all that was. That wasn't an actual trauma from his past in broomstick.
I don't. That builds character. Nah, that's fine. I'm okay with that. You make your mom bunch of your mom.
I don't know if you're joking. That's my problem here. Is I don't. That is not something that you would. That's not your joke tone. That's your kids today. What are they like?
What did they say? Tell me what they said.
Oh, what at the hockey game?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were saying the shoving the broomstick up was character.
No.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
No. No, I'm talking about. It's just a bunch of your.
It's misinterpretations like that get everyone in trouble.
But was the kid's mom dead?
Yeah.
No. They were just. It didn't matter. It could have been anybody in goal. Nobody knew who the goalkeeper was, but they were just shouting every epithet under the sun. But it was so relentless from about 100 students that they eventually had to sub off that goalkeeper.
Yeah.
Because
don't you think roasting builds character though?
No.
I think there's a line. I think substitution means that something's gone awry.
Right. That should be against the rules. That's unfair sportsmanship. You can't be that psychologically damaging to the other
but what would
team.
you say? Hey, our goalkeeper's a bitch. We gotta move. They said.
Well, look, if it's coming from somebody else on the rink, on the ice, fine, fair enough. But the fact that it's coming from the audience members who don't know this man, they don't know his mum could have been dead. Who knows?
Wouldn't that make it funnier?
Now, on that point, I don't like when you make a joke or make a comment about something and somebody goes, they give you like a stipulating circumstance where like you'll make a joke about a breakup or something. They go, actually, I only got broken up with recently. So, okay, great. Would you want a hug? Like, it doesn't change the fact that it was a funny thing to say. Like, just because it affects you negatively right now in this small window of time. Like, what do you want me to do? Retell you the joke in 2 weeks when you've got over it a bit more?
Yeah, that's how I am. Yeah, I think the best time is when you're feeling all that pain. I think that's emotionally appropriate.
Kick a man while he's down. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a good time. When else are you going to do it? When they feel better?
Yeah.
Well,
Yep.
That seems that seems stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like to keep everybody
I
in the middle. I don't kick them when they're down. I hit them when they're high. Bring it down. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Keep everybody fucking even in the middle there. But I do want to talk about sports fans. Maybe we should talk about how shitty sports fans are. They are, because I was remembering. Yeah, you're talking about they're showing up with brooms. I remembered this reading about
that's horrific.
Kevin Love when he was in college. He's from Oregon, I guess, and he decided to go play at UCLA, and then he went back to play Oregon. And at one point, they were throwing popcorn and empty cups at his 13-year-old sister and his grandmother, and chanting whores at them until the grandmother started crying. So, I mean, I think we should cancel Oregon fans. They should be canceled, right?
How do we find them? All right, do we January 6th it? Where we like, do you remember this person?
What do you mean January 6th? Like the investigation or like
the investigation? Where they're like, do you know what this person is? What episode of Mr. Show was this guy on?
A bunch of them.
That is a deep cut. That is most of our viewers are under 30. So to them, I apologize. Go Google that. It's a great show. Yeah. Go Google that joke. I have a question because this is a nice segue for that. Do you think you can just be funny, or do you have to work on it and realize things like like YouTube demographics and stuff like that?
Now, you have to. It's more than just being funny, because again, you have. I'd say 3 out of the 4 of us in this room are funny people. You've been a pleasure.
I'll kill you.
No, you won't.
Okay. I just assumed it was me. I just assumed it was me.
No, it was. That was the joke. That was the joke. It is.
You shouldn't have said anything. You shouldn't have said that was brilliant. That was the most Machiavellian thing you could have possibly said. It was like, 3 out of 4 of us on this podcast are funny. Anyway, guys, got to hit the road.
Yeah. Go on, California. Yeah.
What does that even mean? All right, but no, I think, and that's why you're the 4th. I think that there is a.
Here's the thing. I'm so much bigger than him. Like when we first met,
I gotta watch out. He's getting swole.
When we first met,
comics getting swole.
When we first met, right, I felt smaller than him. And then at a certain point in our relationship, I realized, actually, I'm much taller than this guy. And
not much, but
no, it is. That's a lot. Yeah, no, it's a lot.
How tall are you?
You're acting
like you're 6'9". I'm 5'11".
Show me.
Look, you are a man over 6 foot. You should not be this obsessed with your height when you're over 6 foot. That is the domain of the under 6 foot.
Wait.
Leave me alone. No.
You're obsessed with my height.
You are obsessed.
Bring it up.
Look at my dad. I'm tall. My dad's bigger than your dad. Oh yeah, look at me. Look how tall I am. I'm so tall.
My Turkish father is smaller than yours. I guarantee it. It's you who's obsessed with my height. I don't know if it's like a weird British Empire, like a
Oh, look,
remnant of that.
you bring it up a lot. Look, I'm just saying, you bring it up a
You
lot.
slouch your shoulders
Use
when
it,
you look
you
me in
use
the
it a
eye.
lot.
My point is, nigga, I'll get you for that.
But there's that bloody word, and I laughed at it again.
Yeah, you laughed at it, so that's.
They're gonna hire you again just so they can fire you. This nigga stay laughing at nigga. What is he didn't learn anything? He didn't learn shit. We fired this motherfucker, and he's still laughing. Bring him back in the office. Bring him back in here.
Have you learned nothing?
Right. Well, I mean, look, so in all seriousness, when I did comedy, there were a couple of people I really looked up to. Derek obviously is one of them. Martin absolutely was definitely one of them. He was on the main stage at Second City, which, if you don't know what that means, it's a big deal. And was just funny, man. Just very, very fun. I mean, that bit that you do, the Christ. I know it's an old bit, but that Christ rap group, the rap group for Jesus, that makes me laugh to this day. It's so funny. But like
Thugs and Harmony, right?
Yeah, no, you nailed it. Yeah, no, yeah. You nailed it. Yeah. But like my point in bringing that up is like that's not really a joke. I feel like you just like, how long did it take you to write that joke?
So it came from, and it's kind of cool to see how it's evolved over time. But the initial thing was like when I was in high school, we had this place called The Basement, right? So that was for all the really Christian-y kids. They'd always tell you about, hey man, I don't know if you've gone to The Basement yet, but you got to come check it out, right? So The Basement was essentially like this cool kids for Jesus thing that would happen. I think it was like on Wednesday nights and weekends or something. They would say things. They would literally say the phrase, "We get crunk for Christ." That's what they would say. We get crunk for Christ. And as soon as I heard that, I was like, I'm out. I'm good on ever going there.
What?
And yeah. And then it just became like this place
for sure thought that was something you made up for the bit.
No. That was a real thing. That
when I listened to that bit, I 100% thought crunk for Christ was something that you made up. Wow.
No, that was the catalyst of the bit. That was where the bit originated. And then it just kind of grew from there into a Christian rap group because of like just, that was the thing they would always have. It's like, here's this Christian rock band, or here's this Christian rap group, and here's this, that, and the third. I never actually went to The Basement. So because I was like, I don't want to see that. That's disgusting. But I kind of knew enough to develop that bit and grow it out, and then like come up with a rap song for it that like, my rap group at the time, we ended up doing a few performances of, and then letting that evolve into just keeping it for myself on stage and like playing that bit out and using it kind of seamlessly in various avenues.
So then how many years? Because like what I find really interesting, like I've always been fascinated about like joke writing and the process that people go through in writing a joke. I mean, how many years would you say, or is the joke still evolving even to this day?
I'm sure at some point I could reevaluate it and change it up again. I think the last kind of addition I made to it was maybe like 3 years ago, with adding the like the whole angle with the dance and stuff, where they're doing like the cross and the halo and shit like that. So yeah, I think it still functions. It's I don't know what else I have left on that bone essentially, but I think every joke has more meat to it than a lot of people give it, and some might have too much meat. Like I'm sure that there are plenty of jokes out there where you're like, oh, you could cut this and that, and then it'll be the perfect jokes.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Do you think it's interesting? It's interesting to me that I mean the process was over years. Why do you think it takes so long to actually be funny? Because I think,
Sometimes,
for me, when I've go on.
No, go finish your question.
I was just gonna say that for me personally, I think some things can be developed the first couple of years if you work really hard. Maybe comedic instinct, maybe joke writing, but I don't know. There's this like secret ingredient that doesn't really come together, and I don't know how to put it into words until until time passes. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah,
like that joke is kind of representative of that to me.
Yeah, I think that there isn't a true barometer of when a joke is perfect or structured the way it should be. I love, like, Patrice O'Neal's my favorite comedian, right? And if you listen to his albums or watch the podcasts that he did or radio appearances, things like that, you'll see the kind of remnants of a bit as is conversational. And then once you get to either Elephant in the Room or or Mr. P, and whatever, that's when you hear how it kind of came out. Like, what was the ending of that joke? And it could have been months, it could have been years, but you see the development. So I think sometimes it starts off as a conversation, right? Like, even here, like, talking about the Mortimer Jordan thing, I normally I would not think of that as a joke per se, but I'm like, oh, that could be something to talk about on stage, as how awful my generation were as people when it comes to regards of essay towards men, or when it comes to how I think that the issue with millennials, my issue with our generation, is that we are constantly pretending that we're better than we are, because all of us are pieces of shit. You can't develop and have the things that we learned and grew up with, and then just be okay in the end, right? You're able to shed off parts of that, hopefully, through seeing things and listening and learning. But this idea that, like, we're perfect and fuck that guy for this thing and da-da-da-da, is like, you didn't grow up the same way I did, or the same way Derek did, or Ben, or Baz. Like, the way you develop things and the way you look at things are always going to be different from the way someone else did. But there's this idea that, well, I wouldn't do it that way. It's like, motherfucker, you wouldn't be in that situation because no one likes you. So you wouldn't even be outside to deal with that,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, that's exactly right. I have friends like, I would never date a girl with fake breasts. I was like, you're not going to date any girls. So you've already excluded like a bunch of them. So like the rejection feels less because I've already said no to them.
That's very funny.
I really want to pick up on the point about conversation, about something starting as a conversation, and then, because that, to Baz, almost to build off your original question there, is I think that's something that's a transformation that has to take place when you go on stage, is because invariably what happens is like I've done, I can count the headline spots that I've done on one hand, so I'm by far the biggest novice here. But it's the idea that I'm sure we're all the same in that before you go up for the first time, enough people have told you should try it. You should try stand up. Oh, you're a funny guy. Yeah, you should get up on stage and try stand up. And then, actually, no, correction. Yes, we've been through Derek's story before.
Yeah, no, told me to do it.
I think we should put a link in the description to that clip. But it's like, but it's the idea that, or in Derek's case, you just have like, woe betide anyone who doubts your genius when you've never been on stage before, and you just think the world has been waiting to see me.
Yeah.
But it's the point of, you're funny in a dialogue. It's like when you talk about that bit about the schools and the broomstick. That's, you get to use us as this live soundboard right now, and then when you go up on stage for the first time, you realize that you still have that live soundboard, but it's only one track, which is laughter, and it's either on or off. Like, it's not. There's very little in between, and that's, I think, the transformation that has to take place is, you have to translate what's funny in a small group where everyone's diving in to what's funny as a performance where you're projecting out to an audience, and they're much more fickle in their response. Like, particularly what's bringing this up is conversation with a friend of mine who came to see me do open mic a few times, and he's like, "Oh, I think I want to try. Yeah, I think I've got about half an hour's material." I was like, "Right, okay, but let's not do that, because it was the voice of inexperience." But it was like, I was saying to him, like, okay, that probably means you've got two, right? Like, because once you've trimmed the fat, and once you've, like, if that, right, exactly, if that, 2 minutes, if that, and it's like, and then he was like, why? And it's like, well, because the anecdotes that land with us, you have to analyze how much we know about you and how much we know about those situations. Like, we spoke about it on a previous episode. We spoke about it on the first episode that Derek was on, where it was like, in my peer group, and maybe on the podcast a little bit, I don't know, or in my peer group particularly, known for being funny when I'm angry and when I'm ranting. And then when my friends came to see me do open mic for the first time, they go like, "Oh, you're actually quite smiley and like cheerful on stage. Like, what's going on?" And it was like, "Oh, well, because you get 5 minutes as an open micer, and you have to establish the premise. They have to know why you're angry, what you're angry about, whether or not they agree that you should be angry about it. All of those things need to be lined up in 5 minutes in order for that to land, because it's not a dialogue. It's a monologue. I think that's the biggest transformation is the dialogue to monologue transformation.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
how did you, like, I don't know.
And the audience has to like you.
Yeah.
Right.
With your friend group, they all kind of like you and they'll let you talk. Whereas these people are all going, I don't know if I fucking like this guy. And you can tell them great stuff. And they're like, but I fucking don't like him.
Yeah.
Just,
how do you the question becomes, I think as a comic, at least this is the first time I was ever taken on the road was like, okay, so how do I translate that to a place that I'm not familiar with, right? Like, I'm not in Chicago anymore. Go on.
You're asking, how do you translate what you're saying to a different audience?
Well, no, that I'm saying that's the sort of the process I think you have to go through is like, okay, I'm in another state. How do I do the same jokes? Do I I think there's a process there, right, in trying to get people to like you that kind of varies. I don't think it's the same state to state. Personally, well, what do you guys think? I don't know.
I think it changes a little bit. Like, you can't, if you're talking about taking the L train, but you're in Montana, they're gonna be like, what are you talking? Right. Right. So in that regard, you might have to paint that picture of what an L train is a little bit more, or you might have to be a little bit more descriptive or whatever to set that up. Right. But I also think that that's where you have to learn what's universal, right? So that, and like I learned this performing in Shanghai, performing in London, performing in Cape Town, like the things that everyone knows about that are, so that's always going to be traveling, kids, love, death, sex, right? You can throw in some religion, but that might not register because some people might be a different religion. You can throw in, I'll give this example. When I was in Shanghai, I used to have this joke about Martin Luther King Jr., and they were like, "We don't know who the fuck that is." And I was like, and so then it became that dialogue, because I was like, whoa, what do you mean you don't know who Martin Luther King Jr. is? He's like, he's our guy, And they're like, well, I'm from London. That dude's from Australia. All these people are from China. We have thousands of years of history compared to your, 400 or 500 in America, whatever, however fucking long America's been around. Yeah. But they're like, we don't give a shit about your stuff. But that's the American way. It's being like, well, we're important. Shouldn't you care about, you don't know about California or whatever the fuck, right?
God bless it.
How can you not know about my stuff? I don't know about your stuff because it's stupid. You should know about my stuff because I like it.
In their defense, it is stupid if you look at a majority of it. So, I don't really want to learn about it. Not Martin Luther King, like Iranian history. I don't know. I'm half Turkish. Every time I read an Iranian textbook about like Iranian history, I'm just like, these are just gay Turks. Like that's all this is. Like, I don't understand.
Iranian history goes back very far, doesn't it? I mean, it's really far.
Arguably too far.
Too
Derek.
far.
Yeah. So
fucking hell.
Yeah. Anyways, okay, but to your point, right? Like it's about creating material that's relatable, and I fully agree with that. On the topics that are actually relatable, why the fuck does everyone hate Cleveland? I'm just curious. Why do people talk shit about Cleveland constantly? Is that the one relatable thing? I have, yes. Yeah. I don't. I actually like Cleveland, actually. So, but I'm just,
honestly, I think there's a lot of cities and even states in America that we could just firebomb and start over. Like, I forgot who it was. Who was it recently? It was like, we should segregate into Republicans and Democrats.
Oh,
do it. Go.
Yeah.
Leave.
Yeah. I like that thing you're talking about, firebombing cities and just start over. They've been trying with Cleveland. I mean, they set that fucking river on fire 19 times. Die.
It won't go.
They're like, oh, cool, we get to warm up.
Yeah.
But don't you kind of respect that then? Like, doesn't that kind of that as an outsider here, that means that I'm sitting here, I've got quite a lot of respect for Cleveland. They're stoic. They stand in the face of death and rise again. It's the phoenix of American cities.
I think if I had to really answer it, I think the reason people shit on Cleveland is it's just a perfect name. It sounds perfect as the butt of a joke. And I like, for people, the name for me is Kevin. You can just fucking yell at a Kevin. Really, you just be like, fucking Kevin, or Kevin, can I get over here? Yeah. Yeah, like it's just a great frustration vent through that name. And I think Cleveland's the same way. Cleveland sucks. I mean,
I'm hearing you. Like, if somebody's being a dick, and like you could just use the fact he's from Cleveland to justify it just because of the word.
Yep.
But he's from Cleveland.
Exactly.
But like, what have Clevelanders done? Like, it's not like they've created their like whole identity around like taking ice baths, right? I mean, like,
they are
like some.
They're not great. Okay, like we can. Okay, if you ever watched the Browns, okay, first of all, it's a tragedy. Like, all
I'm assuming
over.
you're talking about tennis. Okay.
The tennis, the Cleveland Browns.
I thought you were talking about the what's that? The Cleveland show? Are they the Browns? Cleveland Brown?
Yeah.
Yep.
I just Is it?
That's what I thought you were talking about. To be honest.
Oh, okay.
You could also be talking about Meet the Browns from Tyler Perry.
Cleveland also Browns football team. I used to be a huge fan, and they are terrible. They're terrible fans. They fucking
why?
Because
broomsticks.
they immediately are like, we suck, and they don't stick to anything to be good. They just keep going, we suck, and they keep changing, and then they just keep firing their quarterback, and you're like, well, this team is a piece of shit. You've had 47 quarterbacks that have all been fired. I think this team is fucking garbage because I don't think it's them. Like, have you guys ever seen somebody put like every single starting quarterback on the back of his jersey, and he had to like extend the jersey going down because it got so long.
He had to wear like a morning suit.
Yeah, just going down, covered the numbers, and just keep adding stripes. Weedy, horn. I mean, just all the way down. They're just and they're rough fans. Like, they have the dog pound. My brother grew up there.
What's the dog pound?
Okay,
what does that mean?
They're the super fans, and they're in the end zone.
And they call themselves the dog pound?
Yeah, because they wear like dog helmets and stuff. I don't really know why they're called the dog pound.
What is a dog helmet, Derek?
They have like, dog bones and like. Anyway,
Jesus Christ!
It's
okay.
But they're there. And
what kind of dog? Because a dog is not a menacing animal. If you've got the ears of a Labrador on your hat, that's not good for a sporting event. Like,
yeah, no,
okay, if you're looking like an Alsatian, then kind of fair enough. But
it's okay. It's not cute dogs. It's ugly dogs.
Okay,
like I
That
think
makes
it's
it
more
better.
like a basset hound or something like that. We're getting past it. Okay. One game. My dad was sitting there. They were in Cleveland watching the game, and it was like a play in the end zone. Two receivers cross, and the official doesn't see one of them and just gets knocked out in the snow and is just laying there unconscious in the end zone without missing a beat. The dog pound immediately fucking hitting him with snowballs while he is unconscious on the field. Like, they are a brutal.
That's kind of
set of
holy
fans.
shit!
Yeah.
It's very funny.
Like, there's the night that they threw trash and batteries out onto the field.
That is less
Not
funny.
because they were upset with what was, because they were not going to get the team back. Like, they lost the team, and then the team went on to win a Super Bowl. And then they got another team, and then they sued to get their shitty record back. It's just a fucking mess all around.
So, okay.
But I love Cleveland.
I had a lot of fun there. Shout out to Megan.
Yeah.
Okay, shout out to me. I mean, I don't know. I've never had an issue with Cleveland. I like Cleveland. I don't know why comics are mad at Cleveland. Most comics become more attractive when they're in Cleveland. I don't know if they realize that, because a comic who's like a Chicago, I don't know, 5 is like a Cleveland 7. So they should be gracious that Cleveland is excited. I mean, they should be, but it is what it is. I mean, I don't know. I comedy's been interesting.
Is that a compliment to Cleveland? That sounded like it was not a compliment.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think anyone walks away unscathed from that one, Derek. So
Yeah.
I think it's fine. I think it's fine. I think I want to know before we sort of kind of move on and just talk about some bullshit, because we're kind of reaching the end of it. Is, what was your favorite special in the past year, Martin?
Oh man, if you've not seen Charlene's Boy by Dion Cole, that it was I think the perfect special, especially for the last few years. Yeah, it was funny, it was poignant, it was timeless. It hit all the right notes for me personally. So I think that came out last year. So Dion Cole's Charlene's Boy, that's my number one. And then Hannibal Buress had one that he put out, and I was very high when I watched it. He did. This is also like during the pandemic, maybe 2020, 2021, somewhere around there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but then he took it was on YouTube, and then he took it off, and I was like, fuck. But it was like also it was just fun. It was a fun special that he shot in Miami. I think it was called the Miami Special, but I don't know where you can access it now.
Interesting. Okay. I'm sure.
And I had a pretty funny fucking Comedy Cube video that you can check it on YouTube as well. And I might have some other stuff cooking up. So I think
Okay.
yeah, I'm gonna be on these motherfuckers.
Send some
heads,
links.
bro.
Post some links.
I gotta ask you something. Okay,
Sure.
you've done stand up, you've done improv, you've done sketch, you've done all of it. Okay, which one is the best? Or why is stand up better than the other ones? Why are comedians better than improvers or sketches?
I wouldn't say anyone is better than the other. I think out of my I've learned to use a lot of improv in my stand up. So I'm never going to shit on improv the way a lot of people hate it for whatever reason. But I do find that I think the reason people do hate improv is because you're having to watch adults work together to form this thing, and it's always like every improv group just kind of looks the same. It's like always the bald guy, the fat guy, the like you can't tell, there's always like a girl, you're like, I can't tell if she's attractive or it's because she's surrounded by these mutants. Like, is she good looking, or is it because
guy?
Yeah, it's always that. And then like one like decently, you're like, okay, is this all right, and like the minority guy or whatever.
I want to reiterate that Martin prefaced this saying that he doesn't shit on improv like lots of comedians do.
Right. And then
No, but people will be like, I fucking yeah. Without they have no reason to. I at least was in it long enough to, and I still do it. But like,
you weren't there, man.
This was Vietnam. You can't talk about Vietnam.
Yeah.
You weren't even there.
Yeah. I like that the other thing he said, Ben, was, well, it's a bunch of adults trying to work together, and he said it in such a disparaging way, and that to me was very funny.
You say disparaging, I say despairing. Like he was just saying that's never gonna happen.
Fucking adults working together,
it's
already
unbelievable. It's this weird thing of seeing like five people who have to vote and like go to work the next day and pay taxes, but like their way of escaping is pretending they're on a rowboat, and they're like, man, I'm so glad that we got rid of Trump. And you're like, what the fuck are you even doing? Like there's this person I used to do improv with, and I swear to God, like the scene would be like, oh, okay, we're at a fucking cat cafe, and she'd be like, I'm tired of everyone trying to have autonomy over my body, and then people start clapping. I'm like, what the fuck does that have to do with the cat cafe? What happened to the cat cafe? I thought we were gonna just be petting cats. What are you talking about? But love improv.
Oh man, just spitting truth. And cut. Just do a walk in front. Oh man.
I want to.
Hard.
It is hard. It is
so
to be
hard.
good. To be good, yes. Yeah,
but that's the issue. There's so much bad improv that it's easy. It's easier to hate, and because you're seeing a group of people fail as opposed to one person. And that again, that's if they're failing. That's if it's bad. But you're going to see a lot more bad improv than good improv. Just like you're more likely to see more bad stand up than good stand up. But I think seeing one person by themselves like sweat and be terrible is not as egregious as like. It's like 8 of you up there, and none of you motherfuckers can figure out like how to make this story cohesive or conclusive, whatever.
I think the only thing worse than that is watching one good person amongst the 8 like really trying to hold it together. I don't know if you've ever seen that. That is painful.
You just feel bad for them.
I feel like, oh, that's horrible. Like I'm like, oh, he's funny, but he's not gonna win. He's gonna lose this one. He's gonna go down.
Yeah. This is like watching somebody in a bad relationship. Like, oh, this is not gonna go well.
we can't even tell him. Should we tell him? Should we talk to him about it after?
But Martin, you're quite the salesman, because like you've now made me want to go and see. I want to see bad improv where it was a white woman who made this political remark, right?
No.
Oh, that's the end of my line of inquiry. No more questions, Your Honor. Move on.
Yep. That was a good choice, Ben. Well done. Well done. Nah, I mean,
his ass.
I think
fired.
You've sold improv way better than I think. Improv gets sold wrong. It tells you like, oh yeah, we're gonna be fucking taking examples and doing this, and you're like, that is not what you're about to watch. What you are about to watch. This is like the dick pill. It's just way overselling what's going to happen. You're going to get 20 extra inches. You're going to get like another dick on your dick. No, you're not. It's gonna be, you might be having like an extra chubby a little bit more than normal. Yeah,
but it's just like, there is the bit where it's like, because I always just say to people when I was saying to them, yeah, if you want to like open mic comedy, which I still think is one of the best cheap nights out you can have. Like just going to an open mic comedy show, because it's like you either get a great night of comedy because there are a handful that are pretty good, or you get a good story about how they all sucked. And that's kind of the same with improv. Like you can either laugh with them if they're good or at them if they're terrible. Like I remember watching a game of they called it headphones, where like, it was a troop of 4, 2 of the troop have headphones in so they can't hear what's going on. They can only see it, and then they have to reenact it afterwards. And there was this group, the duo at the beginning were protesters because somebody called out protesters. So they were doing this as if they were holding up placards, right? And I was genuinely impressed with what the other two came up with because I was like, I don't know what I would do if I just saw that. And they came out afterwards and went, I bloody love being a church bell ringer. And I lost my mind because I thought, well, fair play. You've managed to actually come up with a job that involves that motion. It was either that or butter churner, and you went with the funnier one. And so, like, when you see something like that, you're like, you're right. There's a real diamond in the rough element to improv. And I think that can also give you a false sense of security. Like, that was my first ever time being a viewer of improvised comedy. So I was like, oh, wow, these guys have got it nailed. These improv comedy, God, this is a new plateau. I've reached a new level of what I enjoy watching. And then I went to see subsequent improv events, and then absolutely, as you say, someone has to shoehorn in something that they think is current and topical. But you sold it so well. The idea of a woman sat in a cat cafe talking about bodily autonomy is fucking hilarious. That's also pretty plausible as a conversation that I imagine happens with lonely women in cat cafes.
Also true. But I mean, what are you have any shows coming up, Martin? What are you doing?
Yeah, you can catch me in St. George, Utah, in May. I'm going to be in London and Paris in June performing.
Oh, hell yeah. Nice.
Yeah, I'll get
Sick.
those shows and dates out closer to time. Some shows coming up in LA, New Orleans, end of April. So that's the big one, Comedy House NOLA. So come check those out if you're in the New Orleans or Louisiana area. And I'll post all my links on my Instagram.
Thanks for watching Raisin Bread, you guys. This was another great show. Thank you so much, Martin, for joining us. If you could do me a huge favor and click on one of the links I am pointing to, I would greatly appreciate it. See you guys next time.